Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Apollo is here today to welcome you, as am I. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. I'm going to put Apollo down now. Welcome to the Weekly Collective. This is a chance for all of us to take a look at the next 7 days, plan ahead, and today's kind of special because it's one of those open topics where anything that needs to come through will come through. So it's good to see everybody. Hold on, one of my lights is off. Let me just turn that on and then we'll get started. All right, there we go. Much better. Okay, so welcome. I like to begin everything with channeled messages. So let's get straight into that. Then I'll give you some updates on what's going on, including upcoming podcasts and things of that nature. But there was a lot of information that I got in spirit, and I want to make sure that I go through all of that first and foremost. This is a collective reading, which means everything that I say, unless it's specifically for an element or a sign, it's for everyone. So I just want to start off with that. Okay, so we're actually jumping ahead here. Mediumship and channel messages first. This comes through dreams and meditation. First message today. A lot of what I was picking up on in my dreams had to do with groups of people. This could be family, this could be a corporate environment, this could also be groups of friends. And I got the feeling that you were stepping into something that had already started. So reading the room, and of course I would have featured the High Priestess on that, very important. So things that you can do in a situation when you're just stepping in is to break the ice before getting started. Kind of like I'm doing here with my poll today, seeing where you're at. So you can say to someone, if there's an important conversation, first and foremost, just check in. How you doing today? How was your weekend? It's small talk, but it's a great way to just get to possibly something that you may not have known. Someone could just say, oh my God, I've been having a morning. And you think to yourself, today's not the day to have that conversation. Let them talk, let them vent. Come back another day with whatever it is that you want to do. Just listen to what's going on. Listen to what they're saying to someone else. When you're having a conversation, instead of filling up all the space, just wait until they finish their sentence and then wait like 1 or 2 half seconds more and see if there isn't more to be said. And I was talking about a podcast. I'll be launching one soon. One of the things that you have to do if you're interviewing is just be present. Follow up on questions you didn't think you were going to ask, hold space, just let someone talk. It's not easy in conversations because we all want to be heard, but remember that the other party wants to be heard. So all of those things are going to help you out. And if you just sense tension stepping into a room, you could just say, fill me in on what's been going on. Where are we at? Like, it's okay to ask for that shortcut as well. Okay. So that's the first thing. And it's going to help you with the other things that I saw. This was a specific thing that woke me up around 3 a.m. I actually had a hard time going back to sleep after this. The next 2 slides were like really intense energy. So some of you are going through some important negotiations or conversations. So I saw you entering into something where already at the back of my mind, I was thinking, why am I doing this? Then once I stepped into it, people were repeating the same sort of decision or thing. And in my head, I thought, this isn't the right thing to do. Nonetheless, sometimes when you're in it, you're in it. And this is one of those situations where it just felt you were in the thick of things. And so if you find yourself in a situation like that, take a step back and just try to maybe not get caught up in the energy of all of that. So I used a word here, groupthink, which is Orwellian, but not necessarily in 1984. There were a lot of different things, including like doublethink, which was this ability that people had to have to survive in that kind of dystopian book where they had to accept 2 conflicting truths. We're seeing a little bit of it nowadays where people will say something's not true even when it is, or make something a big deal when it isn't, and you're trying to accept it and it's like, no, that's not right. I know the truth. Let's stop saying that this is something that it isn't. So that energy was kind of in the group, and that's why I put the moon here. It's a kind of tricky thing. If you don't need to get involved with that, that's just your cue to exit. If you are going to do that, you might have to be the voice of agitation or reason. It doesn't always work when there's that tight knit of a group and that much ingrained thought, because what happens is people have invested so much in accepting something that doesn't make sense that to admit it, then there's going to have to be like a point where someone is trying to say, well, how did we go wrong? It's better, like this happens in corporations all the time. It's not just dystopian books. You'll see it where a company agrees to do something, they stick with the launch date, And instead of scrapping the project or setting a new date, they do it anyway, and it's not good. So it's better to be a voice of reason and be the one dissenting voice, one voice of dissent, I should say, in a groupthink situation, than to go along with it when, in the end, it could not be great. So speak up or move in a new direction. Taking the temperature, which we just talked about, will help you avoid that. Okay. This one goes both ways. We have the Seven of Wands on this card, and it was the next energy, the next scene that I was shown, kind of like I see flashes in a movie. So then I saw something where it was almost like vigilante behavior, where people were taking things in their own hands, doing way too much. That's why Seven of Wands. But what happens with Seven of Wands, if it's just a card of productivity, it means you can do a lot, you could work smarter, but it can also be a pushy card, or where you're trying to defend yourself against someone that's pushy. You shouldn't have to force something. This is the takeaway from what I was feeling. Like, if you can't get someone to agree with you, find a different space where you're not having to sort of like put so much energy into just having a conversation or getting something done. Look at all the options out there. And if you feel like you're in this energy, there's probably something better that you can spend your time on. And I get it. Sometimes it's difficult because we can't always choose, the group of people that we're assigned at school or work, or sometimes our family. But this is a time to really be mindful of what can happen if people are convincing us to do something that doesn't feel right on some level. Okay? And there you go. Someone's saying they yearn for it. Be careful what you what you wish for. Groupthink isn't a lot of fun. Here's what's interesting about being an adult, or being sort of like having to be the decision maker. We got Empress 2 days in a row. So as a single card that I was pulling on the dailies. When you have to make up your own mind, there's no one to share the blame with. The accountability sits with you. And I get it. That's not a lot of fun, but it's also really empowering. There's a lot of creativity with that. So try to enjoy, that if you're in that position of being the decision maker. And if you are dealing with a lot of stubborn coworkers, family members, or friends, just decide, is it worth the energy? Or is there other things that you can put your time into? Enough said with that. We're going to move on to the 7-day forecast next, probably after this, or maybe after the elemental, because I'll give people a moment here to join. After that, we will go into I'll give some memberships. Okay. And people ask all the time, how do I know if I'm gifted one? You'll get a notification on YouTube. You can also just become a member. I'm able to give away a few ones each month, but membership helps me produce new things. So this podcast that I'm hopefully releasing in the next week here, I'm just doing a lot of back-end stuff on the RSS feed and all that stuff. But I paid for everything on my own. Producer, editor, design, all this stuff. Like, it was a lot of work. So all of that sort of goes into that. So it helps me produce content. If you like the podcast when it comes out, you could be a member. All right, so enough with that. We're going to go into the 7-day forecast. All right, so let's see what's coming through here. And yes, I'm hoping to launch it as close to Friday as possible, but there's a lot of things that have to be done to make that happen. Not here on YouTube, but like as a wider release. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to put another note here. If you want to show some support, or if you not just show some support, but if you want to be the first to know about the podcast, you can join my newsletter, because I'll make sure I send out a blast. All right, let's take a deep breath. Let's focus on the week ahead and see what's coming through. Letting go of any sort of pre-assumptions, preconceived ideas, already starting to tune into energy from guides. Okay. All right, this is such a beautiful deck. I always love working with light seers. Okay, let's get to the day markers here. We're going to start off with this Sunday. We have a card of celebration. It's a group card, so that's one thing to be mindful of here as we were talking about potential peer pressure or groupthink. So 3 of Cups, in its best form, can show a celebration, hanging out with friends, a date, a chance to get to know someone. And that's really what it is, mixing and mingling and celebrating a little bit. So I mentioned self-care and having fun actually 2 days in a row, but especially today when I was looking, we can kind of blend this with my daily one. So when I do the daily, it's a pulse. When we do this, it's like a deeper dive. You can look at the two and they usually work together. So for this, definitely take time to celebrate life's little moments and little victories. Whatever you might be, doing really well with, have some fun and celebrate that. If you haven't talked to someone in a while, today's a great day to hang out with them. And if one group excludes you, then hang out with people that are connecting with you. This can be a card of clicks. We even see, even though this is upright, these three women are looking in a different direction. And it reminds me, it can be really, really fun or joyful, or it can be like Mean Girls, the Three of Cups. So if you're not fitting into a certain group or a certain sort of clique, so be it. But it's a good day to get out and find your own chosen family, your own tribe, your own clique. And be inclusive. That's one thing that I like to remind people. I think back to when my family moved across the country from western states to like the East Coast. I was 8 or 9, 8 going on 9, I think. And I remember the first day of school. And what was cool is there was a neighbor that kind of already was starting to get to know me, and she made sure I was comfortable. But then I think I took a different route home or something, and there was someone else on the bus that came over and like shook my hand and said, "Hey, welcome, you're new. Where are you from?" And I never forgot. He's like, "Sit by me, let's talk." And then he introduced me to a couple people. So I had 2 people, a neighbor, and then this just super outgoing friend that said hello. And I thought, wow, it's really important to sometimes be the icebreaker for somebody who you can see is maybe struggling or trying to find their voice or try to find a space. So you can also be inclusive with that card. Lots of stuff. Because we were discussing group think and how to break it, that's one way to do it as well. Okay, so let's go ahead now and look at the start of the week. Monday. I know some of you that are on the other side of the world, it's closer to Monday, or you're going to be watching this as Monday comes around here. So we have the Queen of Swords. She's in the reverse state. She's reminding us to speak up, to be basically as clear as we can, and also to try to be as constructive as possible too, because sometimes with this card there can be a bluntness to it. I love the Queen of Swords. She's one of the second to highest, communication card. But when reversed, she's not always reading the room. So that slide that I had about taking a temperature, seeing what's going on, and just asking a question, just how are you doing? And is this a good time to talk? It'll save you so much time and energy. Also, does this make sense? Or do you have asking for feedback and things like that? Because you can often course correct something or catch something that didn't land. And that's all you can do. Sometimes I even ask with people, are we good? If they don't answer back, that's not on me, that's on them. Or I know that we're not good and they're not talking. So that's all you can do sometimes is check in. So check in and then focus on taking action. She's really decisive, and she's, the penultimate, second to highest card when it comes to action, movement, communication. So you can make a lot of impact. And I think keep your communication short and sweet, but definitely bold strokes of action. You can get a lot done on Monday, and that's the takeaway. Tuesday, the Emperor. Now we are actually sitting in that energy of it's time to work. And this is for the person that was saying they might be seeking out that support, or again, I think it's kind of like a security blanket when you have the group energy around you and you can just say, oh yeah, everyone else is doing this. You're not asked to be the popular one on Tuesday. You're asked to basically step ahead and lead the charge. Sometimes it's popular. Often you're doing something that might be, unpopular. He's focusing on strategy here, as you can see with the chess piece, and fighting the good fight. This looks like Mars to me. So you're going to figure out what you really want to put your time and energy into, and what you're going to let go. Pick and choose your battles. But as the Emperor, you have a good chance of winning, quote unquote, or succeeding. Succeeding is a better word. And the buck stops with you, which basically means accountability, final decisions, just responsibility. It's owning all of that, connecting with all of that. people are looking to you for leadership. It's a good day to have a conversation about anything that you want to see action, movement, or agreement behind, and it just feels like you're headed in the right direction. Okay? Let's move to Wednesday. In Wednesday here, we could have someone challenging your leadership, your decision making. We could also have, for some of you, a decision of like, it's basically saying don't micromanage here, the Chariot in reverse. Really focus on, pulling in the reins on what matters, and then not putting all your time and energy into trying to convince everyone to do everything. You've got your own 2 horses to carry you to the next thing. This is also about reclamation of power. So anytime we have something showing power that's in reverse, now it's saying someone could come in and say, are you sure? Or why did you do this? This is also why, by the way, when we were talking about, this energy of peer pressure, you would speak out and you would say whatever you need to say. And then you would kind of sit with that. And then when things start to go astray, you've already kind of put your line in the sand and you're covered. So as long as you focus on saying and doing the right thing, when this sort of car veers off track, that was, thank you cards, thank you guides. There was another dream that just came to me that I forgot about. And it was so in New York City sometimes, and in major cities, they'll park cars in really tight, it's almost like a sardine can. Like there's these lifts, hydraulic lifts that stack them. And that's what I was seeing, was like 3 cars stacked together. The car on the top was having a hard time coming down, and I don't know how they got off, but then it was kind of like free falling and then kind of veering in all directions. So that's what this was. Stacked management, because that's what this is. Too many layers of decision making, and in real time I can kind of pull it apart for you. So there's too many people trying to drive the car, too many people trying to steer the ship, and it causes erratic behavior. And then sometimes you get in a tight situation. This is a day to make sure you're not on a sinking ship, and that you're trying to help people see why a situation may not make a lot of sense. Okay, so make sure you're not getting in sticky situations this week. I'm not fear-based, but I keep seeing group situations. You're fine as long as you don't get stuck in a group situation that pushes you into something that you know better than, including like getting stacked into a parking space like a sardine. If it's too tight of a timeline, if there's too much pressure, if there's not enough resources, not enough space, raise your hand and say, this isn't going to work, okay? It's come through a few times. Things are getting a little bit better here as we look at Thursday. We have the Page of Swords in reverse. Page of Swords is really good at speaking and listening. I talked about the importance of doing a little bit of both. So definitely give yourself time to do a little bit of both. A light bulb moment could be coming through for many of you. And this is a chance for you to really see like a solution or a way to get something done. What she's not doing well in this card is like there's too much multitasking. So I think that saying no to 1 or 2 or 3 things this week is going to be really, really important. Make sure that you're not walking that tightrope, and stay focused on the periphery. She's a little too focused on the black and the white, what's right in front of her. And the big ideas come not from this, but from the world around you. So stay open. Listen. A page reverse needs to listen rather than speaking, and should question things if the advice isn't clear or possibly isn't sound. Because one of the main things that keeps coming through this week is not to be afraid to be the voice of reason. Okay. Sit with something. Don't jump to a conclusion. Take your time. Friday is a moment where you are so ready to get to the destination that don't push publish or send or whatever until everything is in place. And also, if you're in a situation and you're just, let's put it this way, you want to get to the next thing, make sure you've lined up all of your ducks in a row, that you have a security net, that it's all ready. That's it. Make sure that you are ready to take the next step. This is a card of enlightenment, and typically it means that there's a pause or delay, but it's often one that is beneficial. Uncomfortable, perhaps, but beneficial. So for those of you that also are producing something, it's one more level of quality assurance, one more set of eyes and ears to something before it goes out. And that's basically all I have to say on that. It feels like you're fine. And also when you slow down for a moment, even just to take a deep breath, then you get ideas, then new sort of things come through, okay? Now let's take a look at next weekend, starting with Saturday. It's basically a moment for you to step into your power. The star card is one of the best energies for connecting to source. I love this one because it's almost like she's flying a kite here, or catching lightning here. So what happens sometimes in our lives is we end up muting or diffusing or holding back on our voice, our vision, our light, because we don't want to outshine, because we don't want to rock the boat, because we don't want to upset someone. Next weekend, specifically on Saturday, it's saying get into your groove, into your power, and it's a time to shine. And it feels like this whole week is setting you up to get into that bright, powerful state. And again, sometimes there's more visibility, scrutiny, accountability that comes with that spotlight, but there's also more light. There's also more power, and there's also more opportunity. So yeah, with that title comes responsibility. With that sort of visibility comes responsibility, but this is a good payoff. It's a good trade-off. As we take a look at a week from today, taking a step in a new direction. For some of you, it could be, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You're still making a step forward, but there could be a little bit of recalibration. You might also feel like you have to take a step to the side and look at this or look at that. We're really focusing on not rushing and looking before leaping with the Fool reversed. I do like that this is more of a trust fall in this deck, saying I've done everything I can, release. She has a protective amethyst there, and it just feels like she's going to fall back into, a nice pool of water there. But you need to know where you're going, okay? That's the main thing. And then once you have done that sort of like research, then you can let go. And that's the main thing here. This is it's very similar to an Empress reverse, which I pulled for today's pulse, which was basically saying, what are you holding on to? And this one, it's basically, why can't you take the first step? Usually it's fear, anxiety, or a need to be perfect, much like the Empress energy. So that's still threading through this week. So be mindful of that and step into the week ahead with this reset. That's why the Fool has a 0 in most modern decks. Let's look at highlights and challenges, and then we'll move into the elemental. And then maybe I'll gift a couple of memberships. Okay, so looking at what we've got in front of us here, I think the highlights, this is the biggest highlight that's jumping out, because we have a bunch of reversals. We have 2 that are upright, the Emperor being one of the most powerful and impactful cards. So Tuesday is a great day to be center of attention, to get stuff done, to push back on some of the challenging stuff that we've already picked up on, in dreams and guide related information. You're really kind of at the steering wheel here, and you can get a lot done. I think that today is a great day to just relax and have some fun. So today is great, Tuesday is great. And then I think that you're falling into your power next weekend. If these cards were upright, they'd be really, really great. So this is about connecting to source. This is about taking a first step. So don't delay in that. The delay is here, but you've got the green light, literally, with this to make the movement in the weekend. So this pause is to make sure that you've let go of unnecessary things that you're trying to perfect, like micromanaging, that you've spoken up, that you've listened, that you've been as inclusive as possible and exercise the leadership. Once you've sorted all that, you can say, am I good? Yeah, I'm good. And then good things start to happen here. Okay? We're going to move into an elemental forecast, and this is going to be a chance for us to just get a little bit deeper into the signs. This is the only piece of today that is really sign specific. Everything else is good for all that are present. All right, let me just go to the side here and pick a deck and see what's calling to me. All right, so here we go. fire, earth, air, and water. Got some big cards this week. Okay, we're going to start with fire signs first. This is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. In the same vein of all the communication cards this week, Queen of Swords, Page of Swords, now the Ace of Swords, all of them have been reversed. We don't fear reversals on this channel, so don't freak out. Reversals are nuances to the main card. So an Ace of Swords in reverse is saying, for me, it really makes sense for those of you that are dealing with written or contractual work. Something needs to be edited or changed or shifted around. So this is you taking the pen and circling it and saying, that's close, but I have some comments. It's also you checking in with someone to make sure that they understand what you've said. And if you don't understand what they've said, you ask a question. This is also a chance for you to change your mind, your direction, and communicate that change. So we don't fear change. We don't fear reversals. This is just a chance to tune in a little bit. I think the biggest thing this week that presents both a challenge and an opportunity, if you can basically excel at it, is communication, particularly listening and keeping an open mind. Sometimes this is a filter that we have on our third eye or ears, and it's basically we're not hearing what they're saying because we want them to say something else, or we are thinking ahead of ourselves. So I really just think it's about listening, editing, and then speaking up and taking action. It's all that we have to say. You have the ability to get a lot done and be bold this week. An Ace of Swords in reverse already knows what it needs to do. It's the universe saying, when are you going to do it? And so you have some power days that we talked about, particularly Tuesday looked pretty good. So that would be great, or the weekend, next weekend. All right, that's everything for fire. It looks like you're in a good place. Keep me posted. Earth, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. You're rising above. This is so the energy of groupthink, Five of Wands. Literally, it's a group, and typically they're not making progress. And this is the corporate sort of side of things sometimes too, or even familial, where people have committed to something that is inefficient, nonsensical, or wrong, and they're afraid to go in a different direction because even though that would be growth, it also would show that that what I just didn't make sense. What I would love for people in that energy, maybe it's even you, it doesn't matter when you awaken to a new path or to a new understanding, as long as you awaken, and it's never too late to change course or trajectory. So basically just celebrate clarity. The next card in this, rising above, is Six of Wands, which is success. So it's not only wise, but successful to learn, to apply your learnings, and sometimes to move in a different direction. So think of it in that way, because I think too often we cast this judgment on our own pasts, our own chapters, saying, I wish I didn't spend so much time in this relationship. I wish I didn't work this long in this job. I stayed too long in this house. Yes, maybe, but also didn't it form who you are today? And as long as you don't repeat history, then you're going to be fine. So learn from your mistakes, rise above the group think, lead the charge if you need to, work smarter, not harder, avoid competition, you'll be fine. A few trappings around you, but like you can rise above this. It's just about doing what's right, not what is popular. And that is absolutely tied into what I was talking about earlier. So I think that Earth, and thank goodness it's Earth because you're grounded, but Earth is the one that's going to have to really rise above this week, but you can do so in the best possible way using logic, reason, facts, and figures to help you out as well, since you are Earth. Especially my Capricorns out there. I know you're always calculating and figuring that out. So definitely lean on the data. It'll help you out. Moving on to air. Wow, it's a big week for Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Fear does not have a seat at my tarot table. So I don't always look at the tower as something that is bad. The tower can be a birth, a proposal, a breakthrough, this really big euphoric moment. And because everything else in this weekly sort of pulse that I saw looks good, feels like you're going to have a pivotal shift. You could have an epiphany. Things could be moving in the right direction. You could be moving. For those of you that have been looking for a new job, a new house, whatever, it's all coming together. Something has to come to a close. So death and the tower work in the same way. An old version of yourself is done, has come to pass. Something new is coming forward. The best thing that you can do when you read for yourself or when someone reads for you and you see a tower moment coming through is to embrace and accept it and say, how can I be an agent of change? How can I roll up my sleeves, put on some gloves and just like get through this stuff and make the most of it? So there's some clearing that needs to be done this week for sure. What no longer serves you, air signs? Whether it's old relationships, garbage in the house, garbage in the head, we're going to clear out all the sort of literal and figurative cobwebs so you can see through to the horizon. Because that's the one thing in the tower, whether it's upright, reverse, whether it's positive or negative, that constitutes the biggest challenge is seeing through the haze. The mental haze, the energy of change. That's why for my air signs, I really want you to slow down on Friday when the Hanged Man comes through. It's helping you look to the left, to the right, and front and back, and really get a lay for the land. And that's going to help you out. But I feel like this is breakthrough energy rather than breakdown. So let's embrace it that way. But if you're trying to avoid a change or something, this is saying no. The one thing that you really want to focus on is dealing with things, preventative maintenance, by the way, for those of you that have a car, a house, or anything that requires maintenance. That's one of the reasons I have to move. I don't own this place, I'm renting it, but they didn't do proper preventative maintenance. So what happened was there was condensation in the HVAC and then mold spread everywhere. Had they just been properly maintaining the unit, it would have been fine. So cars, it's like getting your alignment checked, rotating the tires, doing oil checks. You do that, you're fine. You don't, something really big happens and expensive. So in cars, houses, and our general health, do some tune-ups, do some preventative maintenance this week. You'll say thank you later. Okay, that's it for the air signs. But it's good. Once you kind of embrace the change and do the preventative maintenance, then it's just a breakthrough week. So good luck and keep me posted on that, okay? Let's move on to my water signs. Out there, you've got the sun coming through. So Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, it's a birthing week for you. And it's also, the sun and the star are two very similar energies because what? They're both stars. This is just the closest one to us. So you're really getting into your power zone. I love that we have a little baby swinging from the rays of sunlight there. So this is a week to really allow yourself to step into something new. That Fool card here, one of the other, I mean, this is the baby of the major arcana, one of them, because it's the beginning. It's like, it's almost like the egg there. And this is you finally birthing. You're taking something to fruition. For some of you, you might just be put in the spotlight. You're going to shine if that happens. There could be something that's announced or coming out, or if you're thinking of doing something of that nature, great week for announcements. You may need some love and support. This is a baby, so if you need something, ask. You have a good chance of receiving. And it's a powerful card. Solar plexus energy. Speak from this part of your body. Really work on the core, strengthening the core as well. Okay? Yeah, we're working with the Fountain Tarot. Maybe I'll use it for the main spread. We'll see. It's been a minute since I've used this one. So yeah, this is very sort of soft and etheric. Anyway, it's a great week for Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Really, everybody, it's pretty good. I think big aha and change moment when I was looking at air signs, but you guys have got this, okay? Let's take a moment here to gift a membership, and then I will figure out what I'm going to do for the main deck here in a moment here. So let me just click on this one more time because I have to go to the main screen. So by the way, gifted memberships, I do it twice a month, usually every other week, and unless there's 5 weeks in a month. And it's just a chance for me to say thanks to those that watch. And when you're a member, you get to basically vote twice. And thank you for all of you that have been gifting on a regular basis or being members, because again, you're helping me do my side projects. And I think you're really, really going to enjoy what I have coming through in the podcast. So this podcast that will be, I'm just going to clear everything up here. So the podcast is going to be coming out again in the next 7 days or so, depending on when I get everything on the servers, everything's approved. And it's a pilot, so it really does kind of depend on how popular this is. But I'll be talking to different people in different walks of the paranormal. So from mediums to ghost hunters to people that deal with meditation, past life, near death. Like, I want to do all different walks of life. And so it's not necessarily what you would expect on the channel, because we're not just talking tarot, we're talking deeper metaphysical stuff. So this will hopefully be the beginning of many conversations. And sign up for my newsletter. Like I said, if you want to get an announcement, I'll send out a blast so that you guys have a chance to see it first thing when it comes through. And there you go. More to come in the week ahead. Should be exciting. All right, so let me decide what I want to do for the deck of cards here. By the way, I'm happy that most of you are, it's kind of split between optimistic and uncertain today. So I may just use this same deck since you seem to like it. We'll give it a good shuffle and get going here. So let's do just that. All right. Deep breath. We're going to be focusing on a special topic today. The special topic, by the way, is messages from guides, angels, and ascended masters. Basically, spirit coming through and saying what it needs to. Okay? Okay, this one just jumped out, which is super exciting. I always read cards that jump out. I know sometimes people in comments are like, why do you do that? Why wouldn't I? Spirit's literally reaching in the deck and pulling a card for me. Of course I'm going to do that. I usually assume it's upright when it comes through like that. Already some synchronicities in both like the 7-day forecast, the elemental breakdown. We have 3 of Cups, we have Page of Swords, reversals on that, 9 of Wands here. Okay, that was different. For a second, I thought it was 5. But yeah, we've got some, the Chariot as well. So definitely some synchronicities and repeating energy, which is always something I pay attention to. Yeah, I'm looking into RSS servers for this, but by the way, it's not that simple because this is going to be video. The podcast will be combination. You'll actually be able to see the guest here on YouTube. I think I'll probably just do audio elsewhere, and that'll be like the exclusive on YouTube, but otherwise it's pretty complicated to do video podcasts elsewhere. Okay, back to this. What a beautiful card for your catalyst, by the way. We have 2 that want to come through here, so we'll let them. By the way, thanks to whoever just donated there, Lydia, for the new tarot deck. I'll definitely be refreshing all of my decks when I move. All right. And Apollo has nuzzled himself right here close to me. I'm going to move him a little bit so you guys can see him. I know, buddy. I'm just going to put you over here. Yeah. Okay. Let's begin. Let's get into your catalyst energy here. All right. So as you know, the catalyst basically helps you set things into motion. So the first message from the guide here is the peacock's tail. I love it. You remember we got the star, right? The star came through on Saturday, I believe. This is star energy. And it allows you to attract, because it's the male peacock that basically puts his feathers up so that he can attract a mate. When you're allowing yourself to really shine, people will come forth and see that authenticity, that purity, that joy, and that brings new partnerships, opportunities, and synchronicities into your light. So shine. Basically, this card is saying shine. By the way, if you're looking for love, this is very good. Fireflies are a sign of potential mates, peacocks, because what we're seeing here is basically that. So someone may come into your life either interested in hiring you or maybe taking you on a date or connecting with you, because lover energy can work in any number of ways. It's just people seeing you and liking something about you. So don't hold back. Show those colors, okay? And be authentic. That's the key thing there. All right, so let's just take a look here at everything. Not surprisingly, because this came up around the middle of the week, if I remember, close to Wednesday, control issues came back. We have the Chariot at the center of this spread. So who's the boss, who's in charge, which direction? These are key things that we saw on the 7-day, and now we're seeing energetically as we look at the entire spread. Speaking up and listening, also important. And then, yeah, definitely love energy coming through, or relationship energy taking a really important sort of part of this week. Let me take a quick drink here, and then we're going to get into card by card breakdown. Okay, we're going to begin with the Chariot. I already highlighted this a bit, but because it's at the center, let's revisit it. I kind of like that this is multi-dimensional. So we can see, ostensibly it's just one horse, but it's kind of like which way. That's what we kind of see is this, which way are you going to go? Or you're being asked to be in two places at once or do multiple things at once. A reversed Chariot is wondering like, how am I going to do it? Can I do it? Will I do it? So there is some decisions that have to be made, or there are some decisions that need to be made at the beginning of the week. If you can prioritize and say, I'm going to focus on this here. This is a nice to have, but a not need to have sort of item. And that's just not feasible. Like, get real with your resources. Even though we're not looking at a resource card, that's what I see. And then also, if someone wants you to do too many things, you just have to say, I can't be in two places at once. Something has to give. I want to focus on this. What do you think? If you're trying to kind of put your but if you really want to like just have them take the accountability, you can just say you have to make a choice. What's most important? And back when I worked in corporate, I used to do that. Even at the very beginning of my career, I was way too helpful, but I would start the day off. I would come in early and I would send an email of everything I did the day before, because I used to work with a producer. And I would say, here's what I want to do today. And just what I just said. And then I would send it to her and then have her tell me what she wanted or if it was okay. And sometimes she'd just be like, great, go for it. Or nope, we got some new stuff. You need to focus on this. So I'd have her check my priorities. But she never had to manage me. She always knew that I was on top of it, but I gave her a chance to sort of like realize this isn't going to work if something wasn't going to work. And that is this. This is the Six of Pentacles, choices. You can probably get everything done, just not in the time that you want. And so it's like, you can't have it all at once. You can't have it all right now. With Six of Pentacles, there are things that you can do to make it happen faster, but I've talked about the triangle before. It's usually time, scope, and budget. It's very corporate, but it can work in any part of our life. So if you're trying to buy a house and you want to get it now, but you only have so much money, you're probably going to have to go down in scope, smaller size. Or it could take longer to find it because there aren't that many. Or you could go get some money from the bank and use that for the mortgage. So there's something like that. One of those things, you can put it in any aspect of your life. You have to be realistic. So what is it that you want to give on this week? Time, scope or size, or the money? And this is a money card. So it might be getting more or accepting a little bit less and saying this is okay because I need to have something now. Okay, choices. Typically in the Six of Pentacles, we would see scales. We would also see someone doling out the resources mindfully because there's always a bunch of open hands. But in this one, we also see what's happening, growth. That's why you don't want to overextend yourself. As long as you give yourself a chance to grow, you're going to be okay. All right? In the deep past, we have the Hierophant. I like this Hierophant because he's not afraid to try something out of the box. He's opening this up. It could also be like a Pandora's box. He's also not afraid to open up a can of worms. This is someone who's looking at the hierarchy and saying, I think we can do it better. A lot of times, Hierophants will come through youthful, rebellious, or unusual. And this one is an unusual one, looking at the different options. One thing Hierophant energy is really good for is researching what has worked for other people. So if you feel stuck, he's going into his box of tricks and saying, okay, let's see what is a best practice out there. What have other people succeeded? What have they done? How can I apply that to my life? Finding organization and structure. So by the way, for my air signs, you may be looking at this, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, as things start to, one thing falls apart or one thing gives way, you're going to look at, well, I'd like to try this. Who can I lean on an expert? Can I get some advice? How can I get organized? This is a great week to get organized. Okay? So those are the main messages there. King of Wands, don't overthink when he's reversed. Don't overthink. You're closer to completion than you might imagine. If you can really have fun with springboarding, because look at how active this King of Wands is. If you can just go with the momentum of an idea, you can really go far. But if you are just a little too stubborn and thinking, again, for some of you, it has to be on looking at one of those three elements. Something has to give. If you can let that give and then say, let's go with it, you'll probably be able to make up for time later. But sometimes this can be stubbornness, overthinking, or an inability to accept a new path or way. And if you can allow yourself to just do that, you're going to be fine. These two are complementary. So open mind, open ears, because this is, if you can listen and you can wrap your head around it, you'll be fine. This is the key. It's in the crowning position, which is kind of like a keystone in a building and an arch. So it doesn't have to be your way or the highway. And you don't have to take everything critical to heart. Just be open, just listen, and then take what you can from that and then apply it. You don't have to take everything. So keep an open mind, and it's not all or nothing. These are basically the messages that I'm getting when I look at these two, okay? We also see some transparency in the sword. So this is a reminder to be communicative, clear, and transparent. It doesn't mean like you're Casper the Ghost. Transparent means that everybody understands what's going on. Often in big companies, there's a lack of transparency. People can't see who the decision maker is, what the next move is going to be. And so that's what I mean by transparency, is the clarity and being able to see what it's all about. And transparency comes in clarity of communication. So what I just did, taking something very corporate and breaking it down into something we can all understand, just be clear and make sure you are clear. And if you're not clear on what someone else is saying, say, what does that mean? Nowadays, there's a lot of new turns of phrases that are out there, thanks to social media and everything. One thing that I always try to avoid here is I'm always going to speak in standard sentence structure, and I avoid, what do you call it? Just sort of like, just everyday colloquial phrases, because it doesn't always slang. Because not everybody gets slang. I have people that are watching in different parts of the world. So US slang and even just US words don't always translate. So better to use standard sentence structure and standard English as close as possible. So that's true. Rather than trying to use something that's trendy, especially if you're working with a mixed audience and mixed age groups, be clear and use regular, whatever your spoken language of choice is, rather than some sort of, something that sounds cool but isn't clear. It won't hold up in time either. Like if you look at this 10 years from now and you use something that was, like if we look back at 80s stuff, rad, no one uses that in here. And like and all that. There's a lot of things that were overused in 80s, 90s, and early aughts, and now we don't use those turns of phrases anymore. It's better to speak in a more traditional sense, particularly when it comes to any sort of written or recorded communications. It'll hold up better over time. Okay, Keep an open heart this week. If you're looking for love, yes. Page of Cups, Three of Cups, and the Peacock. So someone could be coming in and expressing interest. This is divine masculine, but we also have the rainbow, so not necessarily. We can just read this as potential partner energy. And then we have Page of Cups, Three of Cups. The kind of love or friendship or engagement isn't necessarily like sign on the dotted line, marriage contract kind of stuff. Three of Cups is getting to know you and having some fun, and it's not that serious yet. And I think there is an advantage to having a courtship of sorts. So for instance, if it's a job, it could be temporary to permanent. That gives both of you a chance to make sure that you like one another before you agree. Make sure though that there is a limit on the temp portion and that they are really serious about the perm, because I've been in those sorts of things before where it was just like 4 years. That was my longest freelance experience. I freelanced for 4 years at one company. And that's a long time. I just eventually thought I'll just keep showing up and assume that this is a regular job. But that was 4 years that I didn't get to contribute to savings, like for retirement and things of that nature. And I had to carry my own health insurance. So make sure that you're not getting cheated out of something in that respect. But when it comes to dating, it's fun. Have fun. Don't get too serious. Just be on a date. So this is the one piece that comes through on this is don't have 20 questions on the first date. Where do you work? Do you have any debt? What was your last relationship like? Do you want to have kids? When do you want to get married? It's going to be deer in the headlights like that. So just have some fun, share a drink, talk to the other person, see if you vibe energetically, and then slowly put some of those questions. They're all important questions, but not all at once. Not like, okay? I think that's key. You might need a little chance to decompress this week. Page of Cups in reverse is just taking a day off, doing something to blow off some steam. That could be also for some of you hanging out with friends, dancing and things of that nature, whatever. Have some fun, socialize. You know what to do. All right, you're showing up pretty nicely. Page of Wands. This is the light bulb. This is the ability to think through new things. Write down, so inconveniently sometimes I'll get my dream messages at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning. That happened today and I actually couldn't quite get back to sleep immediately. And I was like, ugh. But I always record what I have from the dream. I type it into my phone or do a voice memo because it will leave me. Just like I kind of forgot about the one until I was looking at all the cards in front of me. The Chariot reminded me of the car. They can come back. Your dreams are just sitting there under this sort of dusty filter in your head. But if you write down a couple words, it'll all come back. So when you have your aha moment, you could be walking the dog, you could be in the shower, you could be making food for yourself, your family, you could be driving. Whatever you're doing, finish that, but then take a moment, pull over the car, put the sandwiches in their bags, and then scribble it down so you don't lose the train of thought. And because I get a feeling that some of you may get it when you least expect it. I like that she's a conductor. So this Page of Wands is going to say, here's how we're going to do it. She's laying it out, but she's also doing it in a way that's really inviting, really engaging. And there we go. In the environment, you're almost there. You're 99.9% of the way there. We got the 9 of Wands, but you're a little tired, possibly a little worse for the wear. This is saying don't give up. You worked this hard to get to the apex of this situation. Finish what you've started. Take care of this. This does have some health ramifications. Pressure. It can just be mental pressure. So it doesn't always go to the other parts of our body, but it can. But it starts here. So some of you are dealing with just a lot of expectations, a lot of perfectionist tendencies, thoughts that just kind of reverberate in your head. And this is a reminder to take some time to breathe. Okay? And I think that that's super important. The other thing here is when it comes to completing something, sometimes we just need a little carrot on a stick in front. So, the outcome of this particular weekly forecast is the 3 of Cups. Make a plan to celebrate whatever it is that you've nearly completed And at that point, when you've finally accomplished it, just, go for it and say, it was worth it. So there's that recalibration moment. You might just need to put something on the books to say, I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to treat myself, go to a movie, take a trip, see a friend, whatever it is. Okay? This is also the peer pressure, which we talked at great length about, so I don't need to go into it too much more right now. But basically, just avoid succumbing to unnecessary peer pressure and really just kind of push back on anything that's unrealistic. Okay? We have a payoff this week, and it's great. Hopes, Fears, and Opportunities, one of the best cards we could get, 10 of Pentacles. Now, this can be, for some of you, this is a contractual sort of thing. Signing on the dotted line. For some of you, you might be getting married, moving into a new house, selling a house. Good things come with this card. I might pull the traditional one while we're talking. It's the Tree of Life that's normally overprinted over this, so it's one of those things that's built to last. That's why I want you to finish whatever you've intended to finish this week and really kind of put focus into one thing. And don't get distracted by, people's gossip or your own pressure or anything of that nature. There's something really good on the other side of that rainbow that we see with the peacock. So this can also be for some of you finding a new group or connection of people. And the 10 of Pentacles can show family, friends, coworkers, jobs, or like really good things coming through with finances. This card is hiding from me, so I may just look at it later. But so that's what I kind of see with the 10 of Pentacles. The only other thing here is it reminds me of the Death card because a lot of the same characters appear on the Death card and the 10 of Pentacles. You have someone like from every age group on. Here we go. For whatever reason, it was super elusive. Here's your 10 of Pentacles. So you see someone old and wise. You see that little kid. You see the dogs. You see people. We have that doorway, which we saw here. And then all of these coins are arranged in the Tree of Life here. So this same sort of grouping of people also appears on the Death card. You would see a mother, a child, the clergy person, young and old, everybody, every walk of life. So doors are opening and they could be coming from unexpected connections. So if you're only used to working with a certain group, this is really asking you to widen the network because age, experience, walk of life, there could be something different that's exactly what you need to get to the next level. It's a very diverse card. That's what I'm getting at with this, sort of lengthy description. But it's a very promising card. By the way, something that starts off simple and fun and non-committal could also end up being exactly what you're looking for. That's why I don't want you to shoot those 20 questions at that someone the first time you meet them. Easy does it, slow and steady. Okay. And yeah, someone just mentioned something cool, which is for those of you that work, a really tough job and you're there 40, 50, 60 hours a work week, it is family. That's the one thing that I miss, possibly the only thing, that and having my healthcare paid for, is the family. Because I still keep in touch to this day with people that I worked with a decade ago or 2 decades ago, and still people from school. So those groups connect with them, and it's chosen family too. You have to work a little harder when you are out of that pocket. So I can relate a lot to students and retired people because I'm my own boss. And the podcast was fun because I got to connect with people, new groups of people, and I can't wait to do more of that. Because I don't get that with what I'm doing here. I get to chat with all of you every Sunday, and I get to connect with you in the comments. But you can find other ways, and this project is one way for me. So it can be a passion project. It can be an extended extracurricular activity, things of that nature. This week, you get a chance to connect, and it could be really fun. And it doesn't have to be anything more than fun this week, one step at a time. Don't put the carriage in front of the horse. You do want to put the horse in front of the carriage. Okay, let's go ahead and expand this. We're going to take a deeper look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, but I'm going to take a drink of water first. So let's see. We're going to start off first with the health card here. Discover your superpower. I like it. All right. So health, mind, body, and spirit. mind, body, and spirit message here is access 100% of your mojo. In order to do this, I remember that, was it water, I think, that came through with the sun sign, with the sun card rather. I feel like you guys are going to have a really great capacity to just shine. But everybody this week, we did get the star, and it came through on Saturday. So I think by this upcoming Saturday, you'll be able to discover and kind of shine that light. Don't hold back. I mean, that's what we saw here. That was something that I've had to do as I've stepped further and further on this path that I'm on, was just be myself. The earliest video that I ever did, I think it was almost like ASMR. I'd be like, hi, everybody. Today we're going to be, I'm like, you've got, so one thing that I learned over a decade of doing this was projection, unless you're trying to do ASMR, and just not to get in my headspace too much. I talk differently than I did 10 years ago because I found confidence. Really, I did. You have to when you're doing all of this. So for you, you have hidden skills, and I'm encouraging all of you just to keep doing what you want to do. You'll find it. You'll get better. That's how it works. It's like learning a language. You start with the ABCs, and then you put some words together, then you put sentences, and pretty soon you've got it. So block by block, step by step, you'll get there. And that's going to help you deal with pressure, peer pressure you're putting on yourself, etc. You guys are making me laugh with the ASMR. There is a time and a place for talking like this, but it's it's not for the tarot reading. But anyway, I used to read news when I was in college too, so there's a different voice for reading news, and it's kind of like this. So you got to find your right speech for any given thing. But anyway, let's take a look at health messages. Be careful with your driving this week. Parking situations in particular. I saw something that could be a little bit dodgy or precarious with it. So if you are parking in a garage, make sure that you don't get stuck in a spot. That's literally what I saw. If it's been a moment or two since you have realigned your, rotated the tires or checked the alignment, do that. Because I saw steering, alignment, and parking. Very specific messages, and we got a car here, and that is a safety issue. So just do some maintenance on your car, folks, okay? This is general balance in your life. Six of Pentacles is like if it's Two of Pentacles, it could be inner ear. This is if it's Two of Pentacles, it can also be work-life balance. Six of Pentacles is just take some pressure off. I feel like you need to say no to some things. It's really more resource management, but it can lead to what we're feeling here, which is exhaustion. So say no if you need to. Some of you are just dealing with heightened sensitivity this week. So if you're feeling a lot, find a way to nurture yourself, to talk through some of that stuff, to deal with it in a way that feels right for you. And everybody, that's going to be different. The biggest area that I see that could be agitated this week is the headspace. So headaches, migraines, TMJ, upper neck, sort of alignment issues, possibly just concentration and focus. Usually I put that a little bit more in the Seven of Cups, but this could just be putting too much pressure, not being able to see through a situation. And I think as long as you focus on that, you're fine. Have some fun. It's a Three of Cups upright, so everything in moderation, but definitely have some fun this week. And I think that's going to help you manage some of the more stressful things that might be coming through. Okay. Let's see. I think that's just about everything. With the Swords cards, for some of you too, there may be just a little bit of sensitivity in the throat center rather. And so that could just be allergies or dehydration. So make sure that you're getting enough water, because we also had Cups in reverse. That's pretty much everything for health. It's fairly manageable. You got two cards for wealth. Let's look at them one by one. Wealth is your resources, life, purpose, and career. Everybody deals with resources, so it hits every age group. Being gentle. So the Deer spirit is for those of you that are feeling highly sensitive this week. And also you might be dealing with someone in your periphery, friend, family member, coworker, that you need their support or cooperation, but they're easily sort of like, because Deer can be agitated or they're scared off. So you have to ease into a conversation with that person. You'll know who that is. Be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others. Second card, the elephant. Learn from the past. Elephants are insanely intelligent and really, really sensitive as well, actually. Sensitive and smart. Ganesha, of course, comes through to help us overcome obstacles. So any obstacle that you have at work, it's your thoughts, your intelligence that's going to bring you through it. You may sometimes feel like you are like we use a turn of phrase here. Someone asked, like, what does it mean to talk about the elephant in the room? An elephant is conspicuous. And if you're trying to ignore the elephant in the room, it's like, it's right there in front of you and it's bigger than life. Some of you may have to talk about that bigger than life or obvious thing with someone who's afraid of dealing with it. And you have to do it in a way that is gentle and nurturing and not fear-based. So we also have the elephant in the room. That's what that means. So again, whenever I use a turn of phrase like that, I try to explain it. And it doesn't necessarily, but that's the best that I can say. It's big and conspicuous, and to ignore it doesn't make sense. So that's kind of what that means. Okay. Now let's see what's coming through for work this week. Well, I think that the most important thing is knowing your limits. Here's the ironic thing. When you say no, people value you more. And that's what we kind of got here. So if you say this is all I can do, but here's how you can get it done, you might actually get the extra resources. Don't take on more than is reasonable, necessary, etc. And remembering the 3 triangles, scope, budget, and timeline, you can get extra budget, perhaps extra resources, support, whatever, just by raising your hand and saying, I want to do this too, but we need X amount of whatever to make it happen. So that's pretty positive, actually, because we see things trending in the right direction. You just have to say, this isn't going to happen unless we have this. Let's break it down. Employed, looking for work, retired. And with retired, I often put students too. The students could be either in looking for work or retired. You can kind of sit with whichever group you want. But first, for those of you that are employed, that message definitely applies to you. Too many bosses, not enough people doing work. Chariot is a micromanage card when reversed. So, make sure when you're asking for help, sometimes the manager's going to have to roll up their sleeves and do stuff. That's not your job to say, but you could just, when they realize that something has to be done, they might volunteer on that. I think that the most important thing for you and for everyone around you is what we talked about earlier. How can you get them to be open to something? And the key here is, in a persuasive conversation or argument or whatever, I remember this from my speech and rhetoric class. You will begin with welcoming everybody, but you then start with saying why, first, that you understand their point of view. You might even have had that point of view or sympathize with it or somehow show that it's not that outlandish. And then you can insert an alternative or two. And then you can say what's worked for you. And then you can propose how we could bring all of these things together. So rather than delving in and saying, this is broken and this is what we should do to fix it, this way they won't kind of like a porcupine is what Spirit's showing me. They won't bristle up. You can say, wow, I really think we've made some progress. I liked what you did here. I think here we're struggling a little bit, but I think I have a solution that can help us land on the right place. So you're saying you did this well. I think I probably would have done the same, but there's something that we can do to get there faster and it can make everybody look good or something like that. So that's like a persuasive argument without saying it's broken and you need to do something now, because that makes people uneasy. So how you communicate is key. Empathizing and putting yourself in their shoes and saying it in a way that is showing like, I'm here with you and I've done this. And because I've done this, I know we can solve this. It gives them confidence. That'll help you out a lot. Okay? What else? I love this trajectory. So again, just asking or pushing back, people think of you in a higher light and can give you more because you were willing to do what we just talked about. keep the emotions out of it. Empathy is good, but we don't want to get defensive. That's the key thing here. And smaller groups, you can do more together. Splitting off into groups could help. And have a celebration. If you launch something, if something did great here, this is the group coming together and celebrating. It's important. As I'm cleaning out my house, preparing for a future move, there was some things that I had kept from different companies and experiences. And one of them was like this big celebration, and you needed like the pass to get in. And I remember that, and I kept it because I was working for like a big company at the time. And so you do think fondly, like as a worker, it means a lot sometimes when there's a big party or celebration, you get to meet everybody. So don't take that for granted. For those looking for work, here's what I see here. I do think there's an opportunity on the horizon. I did get the temporary to permanent piece. Put something in the contract so you're not stuck like I was once upon a time, forever freelancing. You don't always have that say, but it's worth seeing if you can get some clarity on that. I do think that's what I was picking up on in this short-term week, a lot more temporary or trial work. And there may be even, for those of you looking for internships, it's actually a really good time for that, because that's kind of what an internship would be, a trial period that ends up in something really good oftentimes. So if you're looking for an internship, it should be a paid one. I'm a big proponent of paying interns. They should not be working for free. Valuable work comes out of those students or those people that are bringing their expertise. So if you are an intern, seek a paid internship. Let's see what else is coming through this week. I think it's time to edit down the CV or the resume. Page of Swords is brevity when it's reversed. So the intro paragraph or something needs to get to the point. Don't bury the lead. Get to the main thing a little bit faster. I think that's going to help you a lot. Don't be too pushy. Don't force it. Remember what I said. If you don't hear back from somebody, you do your requisite or normal 1 or 2 follow-ups, and then at that point, move on to something else. You shouldn't have to force anything when it comes to that. I do think that networking is super key here. This is friends and family, and this can be professional groups. So if you're looking for work, you want to do anything you can to network. This is also social media and websites. And I think I talked to Virgo last month about this, or this month now. Make sure that when you're job seeking that you don't neglect website redesign and social media trimming and editing. If there's anything you don't want out there, change it so that, because nowadays people don't just look at your website and call your references. They do a Google search too. So clean up what's on Google, clean up what's on Instagram as to the best of your knowledge and ability, because what's out there's out there. But this is a time to kind of prune and really think about that as well. Negotiating your salary. You may have an offer that is definitely short of expectations, and you can get more with a proper negotiation tactic. And it's a decent amount here, so it's worth pushing. This to me would be too much of a delta sometimes too. It'd be like, so difference is what that means. So it might be like someone's asking you to take a 20-30% cut. And I remember there was a job one time when I was working, I wanted to work for like public broadcasting. I loved it. I did a short-term thing with them, but it was it was a 75% pay cut. I said, I can't live on this salary. This is only for someone who has a spouse and can afford to not be paid what they're worth. So I had to go in a different trajectory. It's a pity that sometimes really cool things like teaching and public broadcasting and things of that nature don't pay what they should. So you might be able to find a different path to get the same thing done, or you're going to look at that like I did and say, I can't do it at this part of my life, maybe later. And maybe you can be an agent of change to fix some of those things, because we do have something broken in our system right now where some of the most important things, namely teachers, don't get paid what they're deserving of. So I'm right there with you, and I understand your plight. But There might be other ways to earn money too, and you might be balancing 2 jobs too. That's one thing here. So if you want to work your passion, you might have to do 2 things at once. You know, I get it. I get it, and I don't agree with it. But there might be a way to eventually bring in enough revenue through multiple streams too. So that's also why I'm exploring podcasting and other things. You always want to have more than one thing that you're doing because it gives you variety, just like a portfolio. You want to diversify it. So oftentimes people that are self-employed need to have multiple streams of revenue to land on so that you're future-proofing yourself a bit. That's what I see here, okay? But don't underestimate the power of networking, negotiation, and don't take an offer that's too low. You deserve more than something that's being presented, and there's something else out there. So seek out that other opportunity, okay? Yeah, I think that's everything for those that are looking. We do have, again, entrepreneurial energy coming through. It feels like every time I read for the group, there's a lot of people that are self-starters. Make sure that you have enough. This is enough, by the way. You can also get additional funding. You don't have to do it all on your own. It feels like 30 to 40% could come in from external funding, okay? Let's move on to those that are retired or students simply because you're looking at work in a different way. Retired individuals, we have the 6 of Pentacles. You can do a lot of what you want, just not all at once. This is about planning. So any sort of project, trip, or anything in particular, when you plan in advance, you often can get a lower price. So the planning is key here because you typically are making money more on dividends or you're not getting much and it's kind of going in the opposite direction. So you have to be mindful of long-term goals and how something, including, and it's important, and we should never not have fun, but like sort of recreational things play into that. So planning a vacation trip or party, you're just going to do it in advance. You can still do it, but further out on the timeline. Or a smaller gathering is what I see. It's a great time. We haven't gotten to love yet, but it is a great time to meet new people. Some of you that are retired may be a person who has been divorced or lost their partner. And if you're looking for new companionship, and it could just be friendship, it could be love, whatever, but we totally get that this month. And for those of you that are in a couple, this could also mean that you have a chance to meet other retirees, other people that are like-minded. You're expanding your social sphere this month, which is exciting. Students, you might be tweaking the focus, a different minor. You might be sort of like within the same major, but a different focus even within that. So there's different types of engineering, different types of, even like in English, you might be doing something different. So what I see here is not a complete change, but a slight tightening or shifting or focal point. I'm all behind that as well. You're also looking at the money like I did when I was a student saying, maybe I can do something creative here so I don't have to pay so much. A scholarship. Like me, I decided to just double up and graduate early. There's a lot of different things you can do. You might decide also to start at a state or local level and then go to a bigger private university and transfer. Very smart thing. Nobody really cares where you started. They just care where the degree was when you finished. And you may also be looking at just different things in general. This isn't not every job out there requires traditional training. Sometimes vocational training, sometimes apprenticeship programs, etc., are better than that. So looking at different ways to get to your ideal job. I'm all for that too. That's everything. Lots of opportunities. We like this. 10 of Pentacles and 3 of Cups. Something to celebrate. Getting what you need, getting your coins. We're happy with that. It's a good week overall. All right, we're going to look at love. Solar light upgrade. All right. So let's pull it in the upright position. It says solar plexus chakra, inner fire, willpower. Solar plexus being right here around the belly button. Speaking from that place of power I was talking about the way that my voice changed from like 10 years ago versus now, versus like ASMR versus public speaking. It just requires time, energy, and practice, but some of you may have to say something in a way that there's different tones too. So this is just my speaking voice, but if I had to be really impactful, there's different levels of no. There's no, where you're kind of wishy-washy, and then there's like no. And that's really like, no, I'm not going to do this. And someone would take a step back from that. Or just like, nah, we've talked about this. And it's more like, you're not going to go down this path with me. But different ways to say one word. How are you putting your power behind it? And it comes from a different place. That loud no comes from solar plexus, from diaphragm. A lot of what I'm doing here comes from the throat, which is sometimes why it gets tired. If I just go a little bit deeper in my communication, when my throat gets tired, there's more sort of like reverberation, but it gives my throat a break. That's how singers, they can use their diaphragm a little bit more. So pay attention to how you're speaking, and note that with a different tone can come a different outcome. Birthing energy, power struggles as well. So are you holding on to something longer than you need to? Are you willing to create or let go of something this week? If so, great things could happen. All right. Let's look at relationships, folks. Love. So yes, love can come into your life. Let's go ahead and focus on 3 different categories. I'm going to take a drink first, but then we're going to look at those in a relationship looking for love or happily single. Okay. For those that are in a relationship, the good news this week is we have this beautiful peacock energy, which shows partnership. It's playful. These are very playful cards, frivolous, sort of fun, enjoying the moment sort of energies. So if you can make time with the one that you love, again, this is for folks in a partnership, make sure there's a date night, having fun, getting the babysitter if you need to, just the 2 of you. Or you with your adult friends hanging out with like-minded individuals. It'll make you a happier couple, better parent, better partner, because it's getting you out of that sort of, sometimes a relationship feels like a job, right? Because it's like, did you drop that off at the bank? Did you get this? Did you go to the dry cleaners, pick up the kids? It's the 9 of Wands energy coming through. So remind one another that you've got each other's back, that you love each other, that you're going to have some fun, and let someone else deal with some of that for 2 hours. That's specifically for those of you that have families or just a busy schedule. If you don't have anyone that you have to have babysat, then just have some fun together, okay? That's the first message that comes through. If your partner wants to do something and it's not hurting anybody, there's choices oftentimes that's within budget and reality. Pick and choose your battles. That's the main thing here at the center. And you can't force your partner to do something and vice versa. So you could just have a heart-to-heart and say, are we really going to argue about this? Like, I want to do it or you want to do it? Like, whatever. You know my thought on this. Go for it. Just don't waste time on something that you don't want to be controlled. Your partner probably doesn't want to. So pick and choose, folks. Money. There's an opportunity actually for some of you maybe to sell something or improve your finances. Have a conversation about that. What I do see here is who's got the purse strings. I think it should be a shared responsibility. I think everybody should have a voice. There might be one of you that is better at balancing and investing, but both of you should have insight into the finances at all times. So if you don't have as much as you want insight-wise, say, we got to do this together. I want to sit down when you're making those decisions. Have a seat at the table, because I saw that too. Sensitivity, be careful. I think this is really just about saying something in a sharp way. Again, going on the defensive. If you can just keep an open mind and not fall into sort of parental energy, especially with your partner, whether or not you have children, sometimes you can end up taking on the roles of like what your parent did to you or to one another. And it's sort of like, no, we are partners. I'm not parenting this person. I don't have to control them. This could also be like, even if you're not married, this could also be someone that you're really, really close with, a friend where you have that close bond. If it's going into that territory, just take a few steps back. Ultimately, this is a good week. We do have something worth celebrating. We do have a card of solidarity, commitment, and love. And it's like we've built this together. Let's cherish this. So I feel like you can work through anything if you want to, okay? This is a week where challenges will be met, but you're going to be okay. Just keep a clear line of communication, and we do have that here. Listening is going to be the most important thing. Now, for those that are looking for love, make time. This is a choice card. Are you making the time? Because if you are, love, love, love. Tune into your emotional state. Do you have enough? If you're feeling vulnerable or sensitive or exposed, this card is just saying, what do you need to do to get on solid ground? Maybe going out with a group could be helpful. I mean, a double date, or maybe there's going to be a setup where you're around your friends or something. If you want to do that, okay. It helps to have that sense of security, or going to a place where you feel secure, for sure. I do think that there's a lot of energy around work and responsibilities this week, but it's manageable. This is a card of balance. So you've got this under control if you want it to be. There could be someone from the past that's coming through. I get a bossy vibe if it's an ex, or if it's someone that you're going through you're like, well, maybe this time. I think it's better to be open to new energies than this old energy that came through. That's the parental vibe that also came through in people that were coupled. By the way, I forgot to mention this. If you are in an existing relationship but you're not married, there could be someone popping the question, or you're talking about a future together. For those that start off in a casual way, there is the potential to get serious. If you're happily single, good for you. I think that your agenda, your dance card is full this week. You might need to say no to some things. A lot of social activities and a lot of work activities. Make time for the social. Make time for fun this week. You could meet someone there that really could open your sort of heart, your career, whatever, something. It can open a door for you. And it comes from fun stuff, not necessarily just from work. So making sure that you make time for things that are joyful in your life is going to be key. And I think the main thing for you is just letting go. This is a very buttoned up card, and the reversal of the Chariot is saying, just be free. Let your sort of peacock, rainbow colors fly and have some fun. And we have star energy here as well. So that was Saturday, if I remember correctly, from the 7-day spread. So it feels like by that day of the week, it'd be really good to get out there and have some fun and do some things. All right, let's look at the Destiny card. The River. It's a reflective sort of energy on this. Some of you are at a crossroads. You're looking squarely at the future, at the past, and you're thinking, is it where I want to be? Or do I want to go to the left or right? Because this horse could be going in any direction. It doesn't matter. And the card was kind of on its side. So turning point. Turning point. There's no wrong direction, question, or answer here. It's just this is what the Hanged Man is about on Friday. So take a moment and take stock. And ask yourself just a couple of simple questions. Are you happy? Is there anything else you would rather be doing? Are there any regrets? And that's enough. To those 3 questions, then just ask yourself, so what am I going to do about that? What's the next step? It will help you. It will help inform your decision. When stuck, question yourself. That's the one thing that I got from my journalistic background, is just, maybe that was a very good thing, even though until recently I wasn't really using it. It has always helped me ask questions. Because back to my earliest assignments, I would have to think, well, what are the core questions? What do I need to do? So I'm always questioning things in the best way. And that's what I do with the cards. What does this mean? What does this mean? So be inquisitive. Your curiosity is going to be your best asset. Before we get into the big idea, let's just see if there's anything that just general trends coming from guides, ancestors, and angels. Here's what I see. The main thing here, we talked about the turning point. You're at the wheel. You've always been at the wheel. So just decide where you want to steer. You could steer yourself also towards more resources and more connections this week. I think the main things here for many of you is building or rebuilding, not feeling pressured, so much energy around groups, not forcing yourself or feeling rejected from groups that don't accept, and following through on the light bulb moments. We have cards that show power here, solar plexus, and a superpower card here. The key thing with communication is just not scaring people away or coming on too strong. That's the main stuff there. So now let's pull one additional card here. We're going to look at the big idea. And again, the big idea is basically one thing that's going to help us tune into like a message that we've missed or something that can help us be the best that we can be. Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords is a card that's saying it's not always going to be clear as day. The two blindfolded cards, the Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords, ask us to look within or to use the third eye that's always open. And it may not be obvious, like just in front of you, but it's something that you know you can do. So it's looking beyond the unknown, looking beyond your fears or your uncertainties, and not being afraid to ask questions, lift up every stone and say, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? And also in 2 or 3 decks that I have, there's like oftentimes a cage with the door that's open, or like there's a bird cage on one of the decks and the top is open. We get conditioned is the word that I was looking for. Trained, conditioned, or used to being in boxes. And the Hierophant was reminding you to get out of the box. So you have more capacity to transcend, escape, move past a situation than people would lead you to believe. So take that as you will. I'm going to get ready now for the meditation. We have one more card at the end, and I think it's the most fun because it's a chance for you to ask a question. So I do hope you stick around. This is going to give us a chance to, I think we're going to do a solar plexus awakening since we got the sun a few times. And I think that's going to help with some of the confidence and power issues. So like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll talk more at the end about everything else. But for now, we're going to get ready to meditate, and then we'll do a final card. So please close your eyes, take a breath, let all the thoughts that you've carried with you so far just go. Take your shoulders up and back for a second. Focus, if you will, on an image of the rising sun. You can even start to think of the question that you have, because the sun is going to clear through any mental clouds that might be in your head or in your way. And then when we're done, we'll pull a card on that question. Let the sun clear things up. We had that picture of the baby that was swinging on the rays of the sun. Imagine that each ray of sunlight is going to the major energy centers in your body. Also to any place that you're feeling pain. For those that need healing, allow the sun to go through there, whatever that is, and feel warmth and a clearing there. And then just allow yourself to let go of whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever attachment that you have. That's all you have to do. We'll meditate for 1 to 2 minutes, and then we'll look at the final question. Just breathe, please. Place your hands on your stomach, right around your belly button, and feel the light, the strength, the power that you've always had. And allow yourself now to bring that into each thought, each day, each step that you take, knowing that you are guided, that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are ready. All right. Speaking of being ready, I'd like you to open your eyes and focus on the final question that you have, something that I have yet to answer. Go ahead and ask that question. Let's give the cards a shuffle, see what guides, angels, and ancestors have to say. Okay, it's time to heal, folks. We have the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords comes through when we sometimes are faced with a disappointment. Something didn't go as anticipated, but this is a bubble. This is not necessarily the traditional Three of Swords, and this is ready to break, release, or pop. And so sometimes we need that agitation, irritation, setback in order to allow us to let go. Incontrovertibly, without a shadow of a doubt, you're like, this isn't me, but I think that is. So if you can find that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and just the rainbow in general. We've got so much. We've had rain a lot here in Southern California over the past month. I'm looking for those rainbows. They do happen from time to time on my, I can see them from my patio. But there's a moment around the corner where things are going to break. And when I look back at disappointments or turning points where I had to go this way, not this way, they've always been for the better. If it's a yes, no, this is typically saying you can do better. There's something about a situation where you don't want to get into something that would make you unhappy, or you're doing something because it doesn't feel right. Focus this week on healing, taking care of yourself, and really tuning into something. And way before you sign on the dotted line, if it doesn't feel right, you just think, nope, this isn't vibing with my heart space. Only if your heart feels it, do it. Otherwise, there's something better on the horizon. And yeah, there's something really beautiful about this. I think and we can even see a little bit of a rainbow there. To me, it looks like a soap bubble, and these kind of picks or swords are going through it, but it could also be a diamond or crystal. Either way, there's gonna be a breakthrough. The Four of Swords follows this, which is peace. It's someone that's putting something to rest. Hey, Apollo. So we're going to, I'll bring him up at the end as well. He's ready to go for a walk. Okay, at this point, I just want to say thanks to everybody that showed up today. I hope you enjoyed it. Welcome to the newest members as well. Please subscribe to this channel, but also to my newsletter. I pinned a comment. I'm going to put it out there one more time. I will be launching my newsletter very shortly, hopefully within the next 7 days, if everything goes well. I have a few levels of approval and things that I have to do externally, but it's all ready for YouTube. So just keep an eye out. I'll be waiting for the right moment, but it will happen very, very soon. So subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my newsletter so you know, opt into notifications too so that you don't miss out. You can also check my website out for more information, including where to follow me on social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. From time to time, people will pretend not to be me, and they will come forth and, or they pretend to be me rather, but they will try to get goods or services in direct messages. So just remember, I don't use text applications or direct messages to sell any products or services. If you want to show support, you can do it right here on YouTube, and anything else, ignore, block, and report. Let's take a couple moments now just to say thanks. Thanks to everybody just for showing up. I appreciate that. Some extra thanks to those that gave back in the form of super stickers, super chat, and memberships. We're going to start off with members first. I'm going to welcome all the newest members, whether you were you joined on your own or you were gifted one, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so members. Welcome, Luminous Fairy, Enzo, and this can also be welcome back for some of you. B. Deidre, World Outdoor Fitness, Jamie, Diana, Aqualian, Sandra, Joanne, Amanda, Indigo, Indigo Kali, Samer, Naomi, Christy, Tamika, Summer, David, Kathy, Karen, Buff Bay, Sophia, Sylvia, Rebecca, Leb, Dandyloo, Asterisk, Krista, Chris, Neha, Ms. Arlene, Sandra, Baranda, Amor, Beth, And I think that's everybody. And apologies if there was any mispronunciations. I do my best in a quick amount of time to say all of them. Let's take a moment here to also say thanks to those that gave back with funding here, which would be gifting memberships and whatnot. So special thanks to, let's see, and also just anniversaries. So Deborah, thank you for being a member for 10 months. Let's see. Thank you. Well, I gifted some. Thank you to Kim Priestess for gifting a membership. Mauricia, thank you for 31 months of membership. You rock. Let's see. 24 months, 2 years. Sarah LaRock, thank you. 2 years supporting me. I appreciate that. Let's see. Also, just over the 2-year mark, Lucy Rodriguez. Thanks for the congrats. I appreciate that. And right at 18 months, Jill Sheets. Thank you. A lot of people that I remember from the days that I went live all the time. Good to see all those familiar faces out there as well. A couple of welcomes now, or thank yous now for all of the gifting, or I should say super stickers. Let's do that next. All right, super stickers. Amithaba, let's see, COIA at play. So Koi at play, I think it is. Lucy, Carmen, Allison, Marusha. Again, a lot of people that are also members. Thank you. Lydia, thank you for going that extra mile. Same thing with B. Deidre. That extra bit helps, especially with the podcast. I do appreciate it. Lisa Pris, I think it is. JC, or Jackie, sorry, Jackie de Villiers. Annie Jax, Lenina, Carmen, Aja, Jeannie, Anne, Allison, Lucy, Color Me Happy, Jess, Jackie, again, thank you. And I think that's it. Okay, that was a lot. Thank you guys. That goes a long way and I do appreciate it. Couldn't be here without all of your love and support on a regular basis. And I hope you enjoyed today. So the last couple readings have been a little bit longer, but it's because I do these once a week. I don't mind if you don't mind. Wishing you all the best in the week ahead. Looking forward to sharing my podcast with you this week. I will be starting up the next month of readings, obviously on Monday, and kicking it off with my normal production schedule. And I'll keep you posted in the month ahead if anything changes. I'm eventually going to be moving, so that may change some stuff towards the end of the month, but we'll see. I still have to find a place. So in the meantime, take care of yourself. Wishing you lots of love and life and light as well. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.